Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Play It Forward, and happy Friday. You are listening to WUSB.FM 90.1 and 107.3 FM. My name is Allison, and I'm here with Chloe, Aisha, Ishrat, and Taylor. Welcome, everyone. How's it going?
Good to be here.
We have a very special guest with us today that we'll be talking with, but before we do that, here is Taylor to tell you a little bit about our show.
Hey, so every 2 weeks we discuss the fentanyl opioid crisis that is plaguing our nation. What is fentanyl? Many Americans are unaware of this lethal drug. It is a synthetic opioid that can be used to treat severe pain, and it is a controlled substance that people are not supposed to have access to unless it's been prescribed. Unfortunately, this is not the case. So the U.S. government has seized enough fentanyl this year to give every American a lethal dose. It is a chemical attack on our country, and 289 people dying a day is one person every 5 minutes. That is equivalent to a plane crash happening a day. From June 2020 through May 2021, there were over 100,000 overdose deaths, and two-thirds being from fentanyl synthetic opioids. That number is up 30% from the year before. These are startling numbers, and as a group we feel it is so incredibly important to share this pertinent information with you. So I invite Chloe to continue to introduce today's show.
Hi, everybody. So according to the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, just 2 milligrams of fentanyl is a lethal dose. That's like the tip of an eraser, just to give a visual, on a pencil. It's unbelievable. This is part of the reason why today overdose is the leading cause of death for people under 50. So now that we are armed with some general information about this invisible enemy, we can discuss the specifics. Here's Allison to introduce a very special guest we will be interviewing today with the show.
I'd like to introduce Carole. Carole is a local mom that is a very powerful and heartbreaking story of losing her son, Alex, to this epidemic of fentanyl poisoning. She is bravely here with us today to create more awareness by sharing her story. Welcome, Carole. Thank you for being with us today. I'm sure it's very difficult to share your son's story, but if you can, please do because we want to know we know that is part of your mission for people to understand how deadly this drug is and that it just takes one time, that half a pill. Welcome, Carole.
Thank you, Allison, and everyone else, and thank you for doing this show and your mission to educate and create more awareness. My son, Alex, he was 30 when he passed away, April 8th, 2018, of a fentanyl heroin overdose. And, he had a history of depression and anxiety, like you hear so many young people today suffering from mental illness or stress. But it really wasn't something that I saw coming, and it's been a difficult 4.5 years of grieving and trying to adjust to the fact that he's really gone. So if I can speak out to some people out there and maybe just create some more awareness, or even help parents who may have a child that they suspect is using drugs or maybe know is using drugs, I'm hoping that maybe I could say something that might, jar somebody.
Your story is very powerful, and we really appreciate you being here, as difficult as it may be. I believe it does make a difference when you, from a mother's perspective. Tell us a little bit about Alex.
Alex was, well, first of all, he was very handsome, but I am his mom. And he was very funny. I like to think he had my sense of humor. He was a wonderful mimic, and he did a classic Christopher Walken imitation that would always bring me to tears. And he was a wonderful, loyal friend to all his friends, and he would put his friends first before himself. And he was a welder, which
Really?
I was very, very proud of him that he pursued that. He was a licensed welder, and he was on his way for a new job in Illinois 2 months before he passed away.
Oh, gosh. Wow. So he had intended to live a lot.
Yes, and I feel like the day or the early morning that he passed on April 8th, I don't think it was intentional. I think, maybe he just, I don't know, was having a down night. And it was just spinning the roulette wheel, as I like to refer to it, when people are using those kind of drugs. It doesn't matter. You don't want to hear, oh, my drug dealer would never give me anything bad. My friend said this is okay, or I bought drugs from this person last week. I'm sure it's fine. You're spinning a roulette wheel every time you do that now, and it's not just in the heroin, as I know you all know. It's in cocaine. It's in pills that look like candy, and so it's just not worth taking that chance.
No, it's not. It's absolutely not.
Can you tell us about your mommy lecture card?
Lecture card. So, all right, so tomorrow is Alex's birthday, October 29th. I used to call him my pumpkin boy because he came home on Halloween.
Oh, happy birthday, Alex.
And I'm doing a special event at Station Pizza in Stony Brook for his birthday. I'm giving away a free slice of pizza and a free drink to anybody that comes. And the Suffolk County Police Department will also be there doing Narcan training. They'll give you Narcan and give you the 5 or 10 minutes instruction. And I'm also, that's when I give out the mommy lecture card. So I made just a little postcard to give out to anybody that comes, just saying,
What's on
basically, I explain, what happened to Alex. I say he left behind 2 broken-hearted parents. And I want you to know that death is permanent. There's no do-over. There's no rebooting. There's no second chance. It's forever. And the pain and grief that's left behind will last for the rest of my life. So please think about that when you're tempted to take a chance. I'm sure Alex didn't intend to die that Sunday morning, but that's what happened. So just remember you're loved and don't throw it away.
That's a powerful
That's
message
so powerful.
coming from a mom.
Hey, Carole, I have a question. So, how would you suggest parents or guardians approach their young ones in case they do suspect something is up, or not even suspicion? How do you think the parents should bring up that conversation and, create that comfortable, safe space for kids to talk whenever they want to?
Well, first of all, I would like to stress to all parents that you can't be embarrassed or humiliated or afraid to talk about what's really happening if your child is involved with drugs. I was never shy about talking about Alex's issues with my friends and, my loved ones. But since then, I've been in a grief support group, and I hear a lot of people say that, some parents just didn't want anyone to know what was going on. They were just so embarrassed. And I think that parents must you got to throw that out the window, because you're not going to help yourself and you're not going to help your child by saying, oh, I hope the neighbors don't find out, or how does that reflect on me as a parent? I mean, this is not an unusual or rare problem for parents to have now. So please do not feel you're too embarrassed or you're going to be humiliated or you don't want to talk about it, because that's going to make your child feel even more isolated and, oh my God, I can't talk to my parents about this. They're going to die,
Yeah,
So
that's
I would
stigma.
say that's the number one thing, creating a safe space for your child to talk about it. So you have to act that, you're not concerned with what the neighbors think or what, any other relatives think about you. You have to think your child first and just make them know that no matter what they come to you with, and I know parents say this all the time to their kids, but I guess they just still don't always take it to heart. No matter what kind of mess your life is in, don't ever think that your parents are going to go, that's it, you're out of here. They only love you, more than anything in the world, and they want to help you. They want to see you well-adjusted and happy. So whatever it is that you have to come to your parents to tell them, you'll work it out. And it's, believe me when I say, your parents would rather have you alive than, to think that you were afraid to come to them and tell them that you have a drug problem, or, even if one of your friends does, whatever. Just, you have to create that safe environment so your child is not afraid to talk to you, that you're not going to, blow through the roof and kick them out or something.
Yeah, yesterday when we were having our meeting, we had talked about what age is appropriate, right? Taylor brought up some good points of, and we feel that it's it should start very young.
It's never too young to start this discussion.
I was reading something that Jeff Reynolds, I'm sure you all know of him, and it was from this year. He wrote an op-ed piece for Newsday, and he was talking about like the school-based drug programs. And I remember one of you were talking about like they try to scare you that you're going to go to jail. And
Yeah,
maybe that's
DARE.
not
That was
so
the
good.
DARE program.
Yeah, maybe that's not such a good way of reaching them. And he mentions that in here, saying that, implies scare tactics, warning kids that drugs will land them in jail or destroy their futures. So maybe that, we have to rethink that of, first of all, the age that we approach. I don't think you can do it too young. I'm not
Yeah,
that
that's-
familiar with the
I
DARE
agree.
program, but perhaps we have to address them a little earlier, and maybe just threatening them with jail is not going to do it.
It stops the conversation, and it teaches people that if you are struggling, you can't reach out for help because you might get incarcerated.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's not helpful at
And
all.
it fuels the stigma.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
why
It's
I feel like when we were talking about this, we also brought up how important not just scaring them, but also bringing out awareness and educating them as to why it is not a good thing, instead of just telling them that it's not a good thing and stay away.
Shout out to the Sunshine Prevention Organization.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think, addressing mental health is so important too. Like right from an early age, addressing the reasons why people want to use drugs to begin with, and having those conversations going and creating, resources for social and emotional health, integrating that into the classroom setting. So important.
That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
It's a root cause of.
Right, mental illness. Like I said, my son always, probably from early teens, suffered from anxiety and depression. He was on a lot of medication for that, but he would like throw it in the garbage after he left the doctor's office. He never liked the way he felt on it. I never felt they were really pinpointing what would help him, what his issue was. I was even once told he had paranoid schizophrenia. I knew that wasn't
goodness.
true. I mean, he did not have that. He just had a lot of anxiety. He used to say, I wish you knew what it was like inside my head. And I couldn't, I only wish I could have, really felt that. But so it's definitely, even a well-adjusted kid may be tempted to try drugs at any time. But the ones that are depressed or anxious, and when they do something and feel a little more relaxed, or at least they don't have to think so much, you could see why they, fall into that vortex.
Yeah, and the pandemic certainly did not help things. Kids being isolated away from their friends, a lot of time online, which is where a lot of kids are getting these drugs, right? Through Snapchat and Instagram.
Definitely getting it online, getting it on the streets. Fentanyl is everywhere. It's on the street. It's online. People are selling it on social media. People are passing it through friends. A lot of times people don't know what they're getting. They think it's just a Percocet, just an Adderall, just
Right.
a Valium, and it's a fentanyl-laced pill, or it's pure fentanyl.
And these are people that are not typically addicted.
It's
and
people
so,
who are addicted and not addicted.
Well,
the
right,
people
but-
without a tolerance, though, are more likely, in some ways, to die because
that's
they
the
don't
whole
have a
thing.
tolerance.
Because these kids are experimenting. That fentanyl is just too powerful, and they don't have the tolerance. And that's why they say the saying is one pill can kill.
I also heard recently from someone I know at the police department that when people are released from jail or out of rehab and they fall off the wagon and they take what dose they used to take,
Yep.
they said the fatalities are overwhelming of people coming out of jail. They've been clean maybe for 6 months, or someone comes out of rehab and then they go, well, last time I did this much, and
They don't
dead.
have that tolerance
They're dead.
anymore.
It happens
Yeah.
all the time.
That's really sad, because you wonder if they're getting that education, because I feel like a lot of people that happens to are just completely unaware of their level of tolerance. These are harm reduction tactics that we have been discussing, and some of them are quite controversial, but also very important.
I also wanted to maybe just mention a little about the opioid money that the county will be getting.
Yeah.
So, do you know there's $26 billion that is flowing to state and local governments? $26 billion. Suffolk County is going to get $180 million of that. That's going to be intended to fight addiction and its effects, and it will be distributed over 18 years, starting with $25 million this year. Let's just hope that that money, isn't going to go to plug up some deficit in the budget or go someplace where it isn't supposed to. $25 million, just imagine what could be done with that when it
Exactly.
comes
So
to
needed.
education.
I mean, that's just, there's so much work to be done. I mean, that's almost like a drop in the bucket of what needs to be done for
Yeah.
this population, because this is such a widespread issue, from harm reduction to policy change to mental health to prevention. We need treatment, recovery resources, community outreach,
Education, awareness in the schools.
Absolutely.
Father Frank is a big leader for this cause, and I believe they're still sitting on the money, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think right now the way Suffolk is dealing with it, they've asked anyone that is in sort of that business, or whether rehab or education, they have to submit proposals,
Yeah.
and
For a
they're going,
grant.
and they're going to be reviewing it that way.
well, I certainly hope it goes to the right folks.
I hope you applied, Allison.
Yeah, we have such we care so much about this problem as a group. So, yeah.
And I wish there was a magic thing you could say to somebody that, remember, well, you guys are too young, but back in the Reagan administration, they were just like, don't
say
do,
no.
just say no. Yeah, don't
Just
do
say
drugs.
no.
But I try to plead with, any young person I come across, just to let them know that, death is permanent, and it's not something you're going to recoup from. You're going to come back from, and just that one bad choice, that one impulsive decision. You're at a party. I mean, believe me, I was young once. I know how it is. You're out, you're with your friends, you're having a great time. Someone just turns to you and goes, "Here, take this pill," or "Try this, smoke this." You kind of you're a little impulsive at that age. And especially if you think, "Oh, it's my friend offering me this,"
Right.
or, nothing bad's going to happen. It's a whole nother game now. I mean, just like you were saying, Chloe, these fake pills that people are buying, they think they're buying Adderall or something else,
the
Percocet.
blues.
And it's just something that someone's made in Mexico or China.
Can you tell me some of your most treasured memories of Alex? You mentioned a couple with, invitations and all that, but what are some of your favorite memories?
Well, he loved nature, and, we would spend a lot of time at the beach and go out to Montauk. I really just love, we had this one trip, I was driving him to Philadelphia for a job interview as a welder on the railroad down there or something. And I just remember he had come from another interview at some welding school that he was applying to. And he just made me laugh, the whole way, imitating the guy that was interviewing him. And just the times laughing. There were a lot of difficult times with Alex. I wouldn't want to paint, if you have a child or a loved one that's had issues with drug abuse, there's a tremendous amount of chaos in your life, and there's a lot of ups and downs. I used to say it was a roller coaster. Alex is going up in the roller coaster today. Everything's good, but then there'd be times we'd go down. So, but he was a sweet, loving boy.
He sounds like it, and you're obviously a loving mother who cares very much.
Thank you.
What advice would you give to people who have lost someone they loved from an overdose?
I'm glad you asked me that, because I like to say I'm not an expert on addiction, rehab. I'm an expert on grief. So I would say, first of all, you have to be really kind and patient with yourself. And everybody, when they first, I belong to a grief support group. It's called GRASP, GRASP. It stands for it's grief recovery after a substance passing, and you can contact them at grasphelp. That's one word, grasphelp.org. There's a local branch that I attend in Malvern. That's how important it is to me. I drive from East to Malvern once a month for the support group. But I think, getting some grief therapy individually in the beginning is very important. I had a wonderful therapist that I saw, and I wasn't really ready for a group kind of atmosphere because in the beginning, I didn't want to hear about anybody else's misery, to tell you the truth. That sounds horrible, but I was just very absorbed in my own. And then there was a time I was ready for it, and to be in a room with 20 other parents that really experienced the same thing you did. And I think it's very important if you lost someone to an overdose that, you don't necessarily want to go to a group where people lost loved ones from other things. So this is very targeted, the grasp. And also, I got a lot of help from a website called What's Your Grief. It's all run together as one word, whatsyourgrief.com. It's run by 2 social workers in Baltimore that do tremendous work and resources and education about grief. And you really, after losing a child, they call it, the crappiest club you could belong to, but you do tend to migrate to other people that have experienced a similar loss. I've had wonderful friends, and that's what's kept me going. It's like that picture of walking on the beach, and there's only one set of footprints.
Oh, Carole.
My friends have carried me.
Oh, Carole. Oh, we're so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine how hard this must be. But you are incredibly brave.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing your hard story, because I believe it does make a difference. It's very impactful, and we need to all come together, parents included, parents who have lost their loved ones. I encourage, Carole, you want to encourage our state officials.
Yes, so, I'd like to talk about Narcan, which is the life-saving antidote to someone who's suffering an overdose. I actually, ironically, did a Narcan training 2 months before my son died, but I wasn't with him when he died, so the Narcan was, at home with me. But there's a Senate bill in the State Assembly. It's Senate Bill S8708, which would require all public entities, including schools, to have Narcan on hand. I mean, just think of it just like they have, defibrillators, and they have, first aid kits in public buildings.
Right.
Yeah.
Narcan, it's a small little thing to carry with you. Everyone
And it's
should have it.
harmless for anybody.
Yes. Even if you gave it to someone that was not in an overdose, it's not going to hurt them.
Right.
But it did not pass the Assembly. And the Assembly bill is A9324. I would urge everybody to, shoot an email to your Assembly person. I know we have an election coming up, so maybe you want to wait till after the election so you know who your Assembly person is.
That's right.
Yep.
But write to them and just urge them to please support it. This is like a no-brainer. I don't see why anyone could be against something like this. It's a no-brainer. And also, did you know that there's 300 locations where you can get free Narcan on Long Island? And there's a website. It's called provider-directory.aidsinstituteny.org. I'll have Allison post it somewhere because it's a long link. But you can find out where you can get free Narcan.
Thank you so much, Carole. We will definitely post that information on our Facebook page. I want to thank you for being with us today and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome to come share anytime you'd like. And I encourage everybody to go to Station Pizza tomorrow from 12 to 5 to get some free pizza and Narcan training and a kit. And celebrate Alex's birthday.
Yes, thank you very much. It was his favorite pizza, and it is the best pizza in Stony Brook.
It is great pizza. I love that. So I just invite Ishrat and Aisha to mention a few things before we close our show.
Before we close our show, the first thing I want to talk about, sorry, is Halloween that's coming up. And with every coming up holiday, it's important for us to be extra on alert. And we would like to give a PSA warning regarding rainbow fentanyl. Rainbow fentanyl was discovered in August when the Drug Enforcement Administration shared a press release warning that across the nation, brightly colored fentanyl was being seized in multiple forms, including pills, powder, and blocks that resemble sidewalk chalk. Although many news outlets have different warnings regarding this topic, it is so much better to be informed and talk with your kids of any age and this threat of rainbow fentanyl. You know, with the coming Halloween, you can't just, it's not just people that are dressed different, you know, your drugs are going to be dressed different too. Pay attention.
Thank you so much to everyone that supports this cause and understands how important it is to not only look out for each other, but also empathize with anyone dealing with addiction. But now, more importantly, educate one another about the unfortunate newer threat, fake fentanyl-laced pills that are being sold online and on the streets with incredible stealth and ease. Talk with your kids, friends, and parents about how deadly this new drug ring on the internet is. It's so horribly dangerous, and it's luring people in. It has to stop.
It has to stop.
Absolutely. So I just want to mention a few resources really quick before we close the show. SAMHSA's national helpline is 1-800-662-HELP. And you can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and they will get you treatment for anybody who's struggling with substance use disorders or mental health issues. Also, Never Use Alone hotline is a very important hotline to know, 1-800-484-3731. If you're still using and you're not ready to get help yet, they will stay on the line with you and make sure you don't become unresponsive and overdose. And they will send for EMS, Never Police, to make sure you stay alive.
Thank you, Chloe, and thank you, everybody. And everyone, keep
playing it forward.
Well, this is Allison of the Play It Forward Project, and I hope you tune in to our next show on Veterans Day, November 11th at 1 p.m. We will be honoring our veterans, those that serve this beautiful country. So thank you, everyone, for listening. I want to give a quick shout-out to a very special little baby at NYU that my daughter's taking care of, Kalia. Get better, sweetheart. And we will be closing our show with a special song, one of Alex's favorites, Ripple by the Grateful Dead. This is Allison. You are listening to WUSB.FM 90.1 and 107.3 FM. Be well, everyone, and look out for one another.
If my words did glow with the gold of sunshine, and my tunes were played on the harp unstrung, would you hear my voice come through the music? Would you hold it near as it were your own? It's a hand-me-down. The thoughts are broken. Perhaps they're better left unsung. I don't know. Don't really care. Let there be songs to fill the air. Ripple in still water when there is no pebble tossed. nor wind to blow. Reach out your hand. If your cup be empty, if your cup is full, may it be again, let it be known. There is a fountain that was not made by the hands of men. There is a road, no simple highway between the dawn and the dark of night. And if you go, no one may follow. That path is for your steps alone. Ripple in still water, when there is no pebble tossed, no wind to blow. You choose to lead, must follow. But if you fall alone. If you should stand, then who's to guide you? If I knew the way, I would take you home. La da da da, la da.